everybody. My name is Zilch, and I am a trans woman, pronouns she, her, and this is the last issue of Transformers Till All Are One. Now, you might be asking yourself, Zilch, why is the fact that you're a trans woman important for this comic? And I'm here to explain that. Now, this video is going to be unscripted. I'm just going to be rambling with my thoughts for a few minutes. And I just want to talk about Starscream in this issue. Because in my humble opinion, Starscream is a trans allegory in this comic. Now, I'm not saying he's a trans headcanon. I'm not saying I headcanon Starscream is trans, even if I do kinda a little bit. I'm saying that Starscream's experience in this comic and his experience throughout all of IDW's comics relate to me heavily in my own experiences in being a queer trans woman. So all you really need to know going in is Starscream has been trapped in his own subconscious, by Liege Maximo, the Transformers god of deceit and lies, and is a Loki type of character. And Windblade has used her telepathy to go in after Starscream. So all of this is taking place within Starscream's subconscious and his mind. As we can see, his view of Cybertron is that it's destroyed and it's broken, and he views Windblade up on as a towering figure, a rival of sorts. Now that's just a neat little detail in itself, but I want to go deeper into Starscream's own experiences. So all of this isn't really important right now. All you really need to know is Starscream is being faced with all of his demons and his failures. Here we see Liege Maximo take the form of Megatron and blast Starscream and pummel him. Starscream is being reminded of his failures, and every time he's hit, Starscream transforms into one of his previous bodies until he lays there broken, weak. And Megatron's line here, so you do have a spark, one just as unremarkable as any other, is just a snide at Starscream's character throughout this whole comic, where he's been trying to prove himself as the leader of Cybertron. He's been trying to be a good leader that his people need. And he's failed. Starscream has failed, and as a consequence is reminded of all his trauma, and he is shot and is saved by Windblade, who is holding his spark. So Windblade sees Starscream's memories, and she sees that Starscream is constructed cold. What this means is Starscream's body is a pre-built body. His spark was never able to form into its own body. It was never able to form and grow into its own person. It was always just a pre-built body. So Starscream's body is not his own. His mind is telling him that this is not his body, which is true. A side effect of this is Starscream constantly has a subconscious need to go under reconstructive surgeries to find a body that matches what his mind is telling him. This is very similar to gender dysphoria and body dysphoria, as his body does not match his mind. Now, interestingly enough, this is a retcon, because as we can see earlier in the issue, Starscream, throughout the IDW's comics, constantly changed designs, and his design constantly evolved. This is because of Hasbro mandates demanding that Starscream's body in the comics match his current toy, and since these comics went on for 15 years, Starscream had a lot of redesigns because he is a very popular character. Basically, this comic retconned that every time Starscream changed his body and went through reconstructive surgery, it was to find a body that matched what his mind was telling him, which adds on to Starscream's character arc all throughout these comics of coming to terms with himself and coming to terms with being a leader. First leading the Decepticons and now leading Cybertron. So then Windblade begins to do what she was made to do, forge Starscream a new body, a new spark, and with each hit, with each hammer, the spark remembers everyone who has ever touched it, and everyone Starscream has ever touched. And here we see everyone whose Starscream's actions, everyone whose lives have been affected through Starscream's actions one way or another. We see Jetfire, Starscream's old friend, Soundwave, his old teammate, Ravage, Bumblebee, Chromia, Wheeljack, Ironhide, Metalhawk, Rat Trap, Optimus. Everyone who Starscream's life has touched and in some way made better or worse. And then we finally, with one last swing, we see Starscream's true body. He finally accepts who he is. We see Starscream's soul. We see what Starscream would have been had he not been constructed cold. What he would have been if he had just been born right. Which is very similar to at least my experiences in being trans. I constantly imagine what I would have looked like, what I could look like if I had just been born a woman, if I had been born a girl, or at least born biologically female. It's a constant struggle, and it's a constant sense of dysphoria, such as Starscream here. Starscream is seeing what could have been and what he truly is, what he is on the inside, and he finally crushes his demons. He crushes Liege Maximo, and he gets over it. He becomes better. He banishes Liege Maximo out of his subconscious, out of his mind, and he is better for it. He is banishing his dysphoria. He is banishing his anxiety, his depression, all of his mental anguish, and he's becoming a better person. With the help of Windblade, who is actually doing the act of banishing Liege Maximo. This is because Starscream can't do it on his own. He needs help. Just as we all need help in our own journeys of self-discovery, our own journeys of being ourselves, our own journeys of finding our own gender identities. Now, I'll be honest. Starscream being a trans allegory, I do not think was intentional, because it is a very loose interpretation. But I still believe it's there. And I relate to it because I view Starscream and his journey throughout Till All Are One, and I see a little bit of myself. I see a little bit of other people. I see people I know. I see my friends. I see what could be. I see a story of a person struggling with their identity, struggling with depression and their view of themselves. Struggling with their identity, and I see a person overcoming that with the help of friends and family. And so finally, Starscream and Windblade exit his subconscious. What happened in there doesn't change anything. Don't be stupid, Starscream. You glimpsed a moment of perfect truth. You saw the you that was never allowed to be. If that doesn't change everything for you, you're a bigger fool than I thought. Is such a good line. Oh my god. Okay. This line. You glimpsed a moment of perfect truth. You saw the you that was never allowed to be. Starscream was never allowed to grow and become his own person. He was forced into a caste system. He was forced into being a seeker. He was forced to be Starscream. It's not until now he got to experience what he truly was, who he truly was. And this moment changes him. It makes him a better person. And it gives him the strength to move on and become the leader that Cybertron needs. It gives him the strength to realize who he is in this world and what he can accomplish. Now, I'm fairly certain this allegory was not intentional. But as a trans person, I can't help but view it in this light. I can see the sense of other interpretations leaking in even now. And I can see that although this might not have been an intentional choice with Starscream's character, it's still a choice nonetheless that we as fans and we as writers should take notice of, because it's such a unique take of Starscream. It gives us an insight into his mind both literally and figuratively, and it makes Starscream better for it. It helps recontextualize the past 15 years of comics, and going back on rereads, you can't help but notice the little moments, although unintentional, the little moments of Starscream, his true self, breaking through, and Starscream growing as a person and coming to terms with the fact that he is not the leader that Cybertron needs. Starscream's story in these comics is one of self-discovery and one with coming to terms with who he is. And I just can't help but relate. I can't help but look at it and see myself, see other trans people I know, and look at it through a queer experience, because that's all I can do, really. I can only really look at this through a queer experience. So I might be wrong. I could be completely stupid, but I feel like looking at this story through the lens of Starscream is a trans person helps recontextualize everything for the better. Now, this may have been an unscripted video, and this may have been just all over the place, and not a concise argument or a concise explanation of my mind, but I hope that this video has helped you re-look at these comics in a new light and see things from my perspective and see Starscream specifically as a trans person. Because after all, it's called Transformers, not Cisformers. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And if you have your own interpretations of this story or agree or disagree, feel free to comment below and feel free to give your own thoughts, just as long as they're not hateful or toxic. Because after all, I want to foster growth and foster conversation on this subject, because I feel as if each of us giving our own thoughts on Starscream as a character will help us understand him and understand the story, and even, look at it from a new perspective, such as a trans or a cis perspective. Again, thank you for watching.